So I'm going to be doing something very interesting today. I am going to purposely flood this engine to the point that it is going to be dripping fuel out of this thing. Hey everybody, it's Steve again, and this is going to be a video that's a long time coming and it needs to get done. A question that comes up all the time is, I can't get my engine to start. What am I doing wrong? Most of the time the engine is flooded, and the question becomes, how do we get this engine unflooded and get it to start? So I'm going to be doing something very interesting today. I am going to purposely flood this engine to the point that it is going to be dripping fuel out of this thing. And then I am going to show you what you can do so that you can get the engine to fire up and start. This particular engine is a Zenoah G320 RC. This is what was originally included in the Vecta 5 almost ready to run model. This is a totally stock original engine and carburetor. This same guideline and principle, it will work for any of these engines that you find in RC cars. This includes the Taylor 35, the Taylor Bigbore engines, and other engines based on the Zenoah platform. This Zenoah G320 RC uses a standard Walbro WT1107 carburetor. There are other carburetors available, such as the 990, the 1257 Extreme, and more. On the Bigbore engines, you will find the WJ carburetor. Again, the principles shown in this video are going to be the same for those carburetors as the one that we are seeing in this video now. Let's get a closer look at the WT1107 carburetor. You will have a choke. You have your throttle shaft. And then you have these three screws here. This is sometimes referred to as your idle speed adjustment. It has a taper that you can see right here. As you tighten this screw, it opens the throttle a little bit more. Typically you want that open a little bit, maybe just a little more than a business card is all you should see open at that butterfly. These two black needles here, you have your high speed and low speed. You'll know that which is the high and which is the low because they have these cast letters right there, H and L. The high speed is on the air filter side. The low speed is on the intake side facing the engine. So this right here is your pulse valve. What happens is as your piston cycles up and down, it pulses this, and that goes to the diaphragm and the metering valve. And what will happen is it fluctuates up and down and fuel will go into the engine. When you flood the motor, what happens is you simply have too much fuel in your engine. And so most of the time people say, remove the spark plug and turn it upside down, pull the starter, and the fuel comes out. Which is true, but every time that piston cycles up and down, this pulse valve is telling more fuel to go into the engine. So the way that I unflood the engine is very simple. If you turn these needle valves all the way closed, no more fuel will enter into the cylinder. So you will take your screwdriver, and before you tighten this, understand that you are just turning these until they stop. If you continue turning and you try to tighten these screws, you'll damage the needle seat, you'll damage the needle as well. So we're just going to very carefully close those. And as soon as I feel resistance, I will stop. So that was the resistance on the low. Then we're going to go to the high-speed needle. I turn those all the way in, and that was the stopping point. So you're not over-tightening it, you're using a very delicate hand. With the needles closed, you will no longer have any fuel entering the engine. You will still have air getting to the engine though. So let's go over to our Vecta. We're going to flood the engine, and then we will show how to get it unflooded. Now this part is where I'm going to cause myself a bit of, undue stress. Flooding your engine, you can do it from a couple of different things. So over priming the carburetor, perhaps on your radio you've actually got your kill switch, your engine kill switch set to the fail-safe mode, so there's no spark happening at the carburetor or at the spark plug. So let's get this thing started just normal, to begin with. I've filled my car with some fresh 25 to 1. So we've started it. Now I'm going to show what happens when we flood it. I'm going to pull the choke. So I've turned the choke on. Now I'm going to pull the starter for a while and just see how bad I can make it. I'll even open the carburetor. Amazing. I just ripped my starter off. Let's come back real quick. Boy, so that wasn't at all annoying or inconvenient, but at least it was fixed immediately and there was no delay. All right, so where were we? We were in the middle of flooding the engine. So we have the choke on. We are pulling on the starter. We're priming it way unnecessarily to the point that I want to just be smelling two-stroke fuel. So this thing just reeks of fuel. Like, it's just so much raw fuel inside of that engine. So I'm going to turn the choke off now just to see how it's going to start here, or if it will. So this is not starting because it's flooded. And if I sit here and I prime it some more, I'm pushing as much fuel as I can. So I'm holding the throttle open and pulling on the starter. All right, so I've worked up a sweat significantly. I'm not gonna lie, I've been pulling on this, abusing my pull starter to get my illustration across here. So you're smelling fuel, you know you have compression, you know you've got spark, and now you've flooded the engine. So you can sit here and pull forever. You can take the spark plug out, dump out fuel. You could take the spark plug out and let the fuel evaporate, or you can do what I mentioned, which is we're gonna turn the needles all the way in. Now, I know when I'm done with this, I'm gonna put it back to factory settings. Every carburetor is different when it comes to factory settings. If you don't know what the factory settings are, pay attention and write down how many turns you turn these needles in before you do it. So with my needles turned all the way in, my choke is off. Now we're going to start this engine. You might need to modulate the throttle a little bit, meaning open the throttle a little bit to full throttle. Okay, you heard that pop? There we go. So we're gonna get this started. It's gonna run for about 10 seconds while it burns all of that fuel that I flooded the engine with. Give it a little more throttle. that's it. We're going to put our needles back to the factory settings. Okay, needles are back at factory settings. Just like that. Just like that, you are done. You've unflooded your engine. Now you're going to tune it to make sure that it's running at optimal performance. That's going to do it for this video. I hope that it was helpful and informative. If you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed so you're following along for more tips and announcements that we have coming up. We really appreciate each and every one of you, and have a nice day.